listening to Femme House Radio with your host LP Giobbi, and this week we have Sinca. Hailing from Montreal, she brings a unique blend of her French-Canadian Peruvian roots into her music. She has released on labels such as Bedrock and Juna Deep, All Day I Dream, Days Like Nights, and more. She has played venues and festivals like Coachella, Burning Man, Brooklyn Mirage, Papaya Playa, Osheaga, Ziget, and many more, sharing stages with titans like John Digweed, Lee Burridge, Kolsch, and Eli and Fur. Very impressive roster. Welcome to Femme House Radio. Sinca, how are you?
I'm very good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm great now. Tell us your origin story. How did you get into producing and DJing?
I had a family that had a big musical background. Both of my grandmas on my dad and my mom's side were pianists. So that was a point in common when they met, my dad and my mom.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and so it was very important for my parents for me to learn a lot of music when I was younger. I was an artist, basically. My sisters were in sports and I was in arts. I was playing the piano, I was dancing ballet. I was doing, how do you call it in English, drama lessons, theater, acting. Painting, so everything that was creative, I was like in my own bubble sometimes, just like painting a bunch of stuff and inventing songs and inventing choreographies all the time. So I was very, very creative in that sense. And of course, you do a bunch of things, but then you kind of have to make a decision when you're a teenager because you don't have all the time in the world. So I decided to focus on dancing. But of course, dancing has a lot of music, so I was still very connected to music in my younger age. And I was always, that time it was more of like the illegal downloading LimeWire, putting them on CDs or MP3s. So I would always dig and dig and dig and dig. And all of my friends were always asking me like, oh, did you discover any tracks this week? And like, I would love digging for new stuff. And then at some point I was like, and that was later in my 20s, and I was like, maybe I should start like DJing. Like, we never know, like it's just gonna be for fun at the start. And never I would have thought that I would do that full time a couple of years later. It blew my mind. I was like, wow, I wish I had discovered this before. And then I started producing, and that was also like another world for me. So that's kind of how I got into it.
How did you learn how to produce? Was there like a mentor you had, or were you just looking at YouTube videos, or how did you get comfortable behind in the DAW?
In both cases, I had the same teacher. So he was a DJ and producer, and he taught me how to DJ. And a year later, I took classes with him on Ableton just to really, because it gets very overwhelming. It's.
Yes, it does.
A lot of options.
So be comfortable even just opening the program and putting a track in. Yeah, completely.
Yeah, exactly. So it was good for me to like know the basis, and then all of the rest was more like doing mistakes and finding it cool and like exploring and watching YouTube and talking to friends, and the rest was all by myself.
That's awesome. Well, I love your music. I think there's a lot of really interesting like dissonances that resolve in a really beautiful way, and a lot of tension and release, and I just think that they feel so euphoric, and like each song feels like such a wonderful journey. I just absolutely love your music. I'm a huge fan of what you're doing, and glad that you found this world to dive into.
Thank you so much,
You have an EP called Purified coming out in February. Tell us about that project.
So the EP is on the Purified label.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah, no worries. It's Nora and Pure's label, and
how did that come to be?
EP's. Sorry.
How did that come to be? How did you sync up with her for this?
So I basically work on a lot of tracks. I've been doing music full time for a little bit over a year now, so I have a lot more time to produce music, and I just want to get it out there in the world. And I had made those 2 tracks and a bunch of other tracks. Of course, I had sent demos to Purified, and there's one of the 2 tracks that is I can send them to you, of course, after this call. And it's very emotional and melodic. And I thought it would resonate a lot with Nora. And it did. So I'm really happy. And as a B track, she chose another one that is also, I think, very good. A little bit less on the pop side. There's no like vocals that are very in your face like the first one. But the second one is also a very good filler track. I've played it a couple times and it resonates well on the dance floor. So I'm really, really happy about that EP. Really excited.
Yeah, that's incredible. Congrats. And I think Nora is a great fit, I think, for your music. I think, she'll be playing your records, and that's a great home for you. Please do send them to me. I can't wait to hear them.
Yes, I will, definitely.
And I was wondering if do you ever plan on creating an album?
Yes.
So I wanted to ask you, as a dance artist in a single-driven world, what is going to drive you, or what does drive you to make an album, a full body of work, that with non-singles or whatever? Obviously, I love that personally, but I just, for me, it's just a calling, and I'm just curious how, what drives you to do that?
It's I think it's going to be similar to you in the sense that it's a calling as well. I've never produced an album before, and it's in a way it's the best way to express yourself as an artist, because you tell a story from start to finish that is just consistent from one track to another. And I've been producing for a little bit over 4 or 5 years now, and every track I produce is not really consistent from one another. It's just like, oh, I have this melody in my head, or I'm inspired by this style and I'm going there.
Yeah.
And it's very like one by one.
Yeah.
And I feel like the album could be like a way to wrap all of those influences together and choose a theme that I'm starting to have, and really tell a story and really put a statement out there of like, hey, this is me, this is what comes out of my head and my heart. Yeah.
I love that for you. I can't wait to hear that. I definitely, in your music, I remember the moment that Pete Tong told me, like, you're an artist that will make albums. And I was like, no, that sounds so overwhelming. No. And the second I heard your music, I was like, oh, she's gonna put out albums. And you can just really feel your musicality. I'm excited to hear that. And then
I'd love to get your advice, actually, on making an album.
I'm so happy to offline about this more. I could talk about in this sort of single-driven world, as a dance artist especially, like the process and joys and ups and downs and weirdness of releasing even an album. But I definitely think that I can see that path for you if you choose it, and would love to talk more about it. Final question for you is, what would you tell your younger self? What advice would you give your younger self?
Be careful with your health, I would tell my younger self. Yeah. Does that resonate with you?
It does resonate with me, man. Not like wear sunscreen. I would definitely take care of your. For me, I struggle with my cortisol levels and my stress levels, and the toll it's really taking on my body. Like, I do take that seriously, and it will get ya.
Yeah, especially as you age. I'm past 30, so I can feel it in my body if I don't take care of my health, and I kind of regret not taking care of my health earlier in my life. I think I was just too excited with life. I just didn't want to say no to anything. I want to do this. I want to do that. I don't sleep. Doesn't matter.
Totally, in the way that actually really does matter. But I hear you. I mean, I think that learning that lesson at any age is a gift. So, congrats.
Thank
you so much for being a guest on Femme House Radio. We're huge fans of what you're doing. I absolutely love your music, and we're excited to keep seeing you kick ass.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm a big fan too.